Hello. In this video I will be showing you my method of how to chant the Psalms using the Clayton Psalm Tones. A link to David Clayton's website describing his psalm tones is in the description. A quick note, I'm using the Orthodox Study Bible, which uses the Septuagint as the basis for the numbering of the Psalms, but most Western Bibles use Hebrew manuscripts where the numbering is a little different. Thus, I will put the Hebrew numbering in parentheses in my videos when the numbering is different. Now, on to the tones. Here are the 8 tones that I use. Mr. Clayton made 80 tones, but on the YouTube channel that he refers to on his website, they only showcase a few samples. I have been using these samples for a handful of years, and I retranscribed them in this PDF. If you would like to download it, I have a link in the description. Another thing to note, on the YouTube channel there are multiple Mode 4 videos. Years ago I just listened to the Mode 4 video for the Creed, so that's now my tone 4. Looking at the tones, I put a treble clef on the left side to tell you what notes are being represented in the staff. Thus the spaces in the staff are the notes F, A, C, E. For tone 1, the first note is A. This is followed by B flat, then G, and then A again. In the second measure, we start with A, then F, then G, then A, and then ending with G. You can also transpose this tone into any key. For example, in my Psalm 1 videos, for the first measure, I'm starting on C, and then go to D flat, B flat, and then back to C. Mr. Clayton uses the tones with a pointing system so you can sing a psalm the same way every time and easily sing with others. Notice how hasten, help, cry, and you all have an accent above them. There's also an accent above the accompanying music notes. So this line is chanted, I have called to you, Lord, hasten to help me. Hear my voice when I cry to you. Let my prayer rise before you like incense, the raising of my hands like an evening oblation. But for me, I just wanted to pick up my Bible and chant any psalm in any tone at any time. So I just do whatever feels natural, which is what the pointing system is supposed to do anyways, but nevertheless, if you sing the same psalm with the same tone often enough, you will develop a consistent way of chanting it. If you would prefer to use a text that already has pointers, there is a first draft PDF of a Psalter that has pointers for every psalm on Mr. Clayton's website, and here is what it looks like. Now let's practice. First, we'll look at Psalm 14, which is Psalm 15 for Bibles which are primarily translated from Hebrew. And let's chant it in tone 2. O Lord, who shall dwell in your tabernacle? Who shall live in your holy mountain? He who walks blamelessly and works righteousness, and speaks truth in his heart. Notice that I am chanting the words, O Lord, who shall dwell in your, with the note C. For the beginning of the word tabernacle, I switch to the note D, and to finish the word tabernacle, I'm on the note A. O Lord, who shall dwell in your tabernacle? O Lord, who shall dwell in your tabernacle? Now on to the second measure. Who shall live in your holy mountain? We start with the note C again, and then go to B and then A. Who shall live in your holy mountain? Who shall live in your holy mountain? Now let's chant the first 4 lines again. O Lord, who shall dwell in your tabernacle? Who shall live in your holy mountain? He who walks blamelessly and works righteousness, and speaks truth in his heart. If you follow along with a few of my videos, I'm sure you'll catch on really quick. Now, my method for using the tones is to chant a tone for every verse. In the Orthodox Study Bible, it is very common for a verse to have 2 lines. Thus, I can chant each measure of the tone for each line in a verse. If a verse has 3 lines, I repeat the second measure of the tone. So, for example, verse 2 of Psalm 2 goes like this. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers gather together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying. If a verse has 4 lines, I just repeat the tone for the 3rd and 4th lines. For psalms that start with 1 line before moving on to verse 2, I will normally start with the second measure of a tone. For example, for Psalm 138, 139 in Hebrew, with tone 5, I would chant, O Lord, you test me and know me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thoughts from afar. Now, you may be asking yourself, Mr. Mustard Seed, how do you know what tone to use for what psalm? Good question. I use something called a kathisma, which is a portion of the Psalter read in liturgical services. On the Orthodox Church of America's website, they have a wonderful chart showing the Greek and Hebrew numbering of the psalms and them broken into 20 kathismata. I retyped it up here, and there is a link to the PDF in the description. I also made smaller charts if you don't want both numbering systems. I use one of these smaller charts as a bookmark in my psalms. So I just chant 1 tone for each psalm in a kathisma, and then go back to tone 1 for the next kathisma. For example, I will chant tone 1 for Psalm 1, tone 2 for Psalm 2, and so on until we reach Psalm 8, where I will be using tone 8. Then for kathisma 2, I will start Psalm 9 with tone 1. For kathismata with more than 8 psalms, I just go back to tone 1 again, and then 2, and then 3, and so on. For example, in kathisma 18, I will be back on tone 1 again at Psalm 127. However, I originally started chanting psalms on a case-by-case basis instead of the whole Psalter, so I will often have tones go out of order. Also note that the Septuagint has an extra psalm, Psalm 151. Lastly, I want to mention why I'm making these videos. First off, it's for me. I love to sing and I love to document songs I've learned. Secondly, it's for anyone who wants to chant the psalms in a really straightforward way. With these psalm tones, you can chant the psalms using any translation. Before I was Orthodox, I was a zealous Protestant and wanted to chant the psalms. I started off with early Protestant psalters such as the Scottish metrical psalter of 1650, where I could use tunes that fit a certain meter. And each psalm was translated into a certain meter such as common meter or long meter. In the description, I linked an excellent website where you can sing the psalter with pre-recorded tunes. Honestly, if you prefer the Scottish metrical psalter over these psalm tones, I don't blame you. It's pretty great. But I didn't want to carry around another book in addition to my Bible, and I didn't want to be at the mercy of a possible bad or awkward translation. I wanted to pick up any Bible and chant the Psalms, dang it. So I kept searching and found these wonderful psalm tones, and they have proved to be priceless in my life. With that said, you should have everything you need to start using the Clayton Psalm Tones, and I hope you find great joy in beautifully chanting the Psalms to your heart's content. Peace be with you.